Hey guys, it's Gabriel Roberts with Roberts Bushcraft out here at beautiful Roanoke River with my dad, Curry Roberts. We're going to be doing a TCOP review today, the Tent Combat One Person tent, and we've been really excited about this one. Let's jump right into it.
One thing I absolutely love about this backpack is the bottom access. Rather than having to take everything out of the pack from the top, you can go through the bottom. This is the Therm-A-Rest military sleeping mat. Picked up used surplus. Really good price. $5, I believe. Here it is. This is the Tent Combat One Person tent by Eureka. This is one of the coolest tents I've ever had. Gabriel and I think we have one of the better modern military tent collections out there. We have the North Face Extreme Cold Weather tent. We have the Diamond brand 2-man combat tent, and we also have the Eureka ICS 2000, which is the improved combat shelter, and this is the TCOP, Tent Combat One Person. This tent is the improvement over the previous Eureka one-man tent, ICS 2000. So I'm going to get this unpacked. We're going to erect the tent, show you some of the things I love about it, some of the additions and modifications that we make or add to make the tent more comfortable while we're in it, and also show you that two people can in fact get inside this tent comfortably. Stay tuned. Main components of the tent system: rain fly, tent body, poles, and inside the stuff sack we have the repair kit and stakes. This particular tent did not come with a stake bag. It came with the repair kit, and it didn't come with any stakes, and in a way I'm glad it didn't. The stakes that these were originally issued with are the old Easton aluminum stake, and they have these silver caps, and those silver caps tend to pop off when you're pulling the stakes out. So what we're using now are the DAC tent stakes that came with the Diamond brand 2-man combat tent, and that tent came with 18 stakes if I'm not mistaken. So we just use 2, 4, 6, 8 with this tent. So we'll go ahead and start putting this together, and that way you can see why I love this tent. Okay, here are the poles. These are Easton aluminum poles. You can see here. Comes with 3 poles. They're all the same length. These are 344-7075 Easton aluminum tent poles. You'll see in a moment that there's a reason why I turn the tent body around. There is a way to orient the fly to the tent. We'll show you that in just a moment. Okay, when you're putting the poles together, cross them. To attach the center section, you use a toggle. Put over both poles. Put the toggle through the loop, like so. Like that.
Now when all the clips are on, your tent should look something like this.
There we go. Okay, this is the TCOP tent body erected. One thing that I did do is I had some old iron-on Eagle Globe and Anchor emblems. Iron that on the door there. Okay, I think we have this heated up enough. Let's give a reveal.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Look at that.
That is nice.
That is a thing of beauty right there, people.
All right.
Okay, so we iron that on the door. Gonna let it cool just a little while. But that actually turned out pretty good, I think. That's gonna look good on the front door. So we're gonna do that to the other side. Let it cool. Check out some more of these seams. And we'll be back. So, your tent body should look something like this when you set it up. This is the tent fly. Now, I do need to mention that the tent fly is woodland camo on top. It's reversible to a desert sand color. And we've also found that this works well in a snowy type environment. It blends in well with the white. It's made out of 70D nylon with a polyurethane coat. And what I found through use is it's easier to get the rainfly pole inserted and set up in the rainfly when you unzip the doors. It releases a lot of tension on the rainfly itself and just makes it easier for putting on the tent. Insert the tip into the grommet. and then continue pushing the pole through the sleeve. On the bottom side of the fly, you have Velcro fasteners, and these simply wrap around the pole. Now, when I purchased this tent, I had to do a lot of seam work on the tape. Had a lot of leaks in the tape. Actually, it's right here. I'm not sure where. I see there's a hole there. Working on the seams on my TCOP. These are the corners. You can see where the tape has come up. It's done this on all four corners. My intention originally was to just seam grip these back down. But before I do that, I'm going to take my iron. It's a heat sealing iron that I have for putting ultra coat covering on my remote control airplanes. And as you can see, there's a wide range of settings. And some of these obviously are too hot. But I'm trying it on the 280 degree, or roughly the 280 degree setting. And so far it seems to be putting this back down. Now, one important tip when you're using something like this, you never put the iron directly against the material that you're working with. You always have some kind of bandana or old t-shirt, old cotton t-shirt between the iron and the material. That way you don't get any hard melting. And so, because sometimes the melting surface will leave remnants on the iron, and it causes the iron to stick to the surface that you're working with. So I'm trying to iron this back down. And at this temperature setting, it doesn't take long to heat that seam tape back up and push it back down. I'm applying some downward pressure. And that seems to be doing the trick. Now I may end up going back along this with some seam grip around these outside edges. But so far, I think this is going to be another win in the TCOP restoration project. I'm going to beat the water. I'm going to beat the water. So, I'm going to do that all the way around, anywhere I see that the tape is coming up. Okay, got all my corners done. It's not factory perfect, but I think it's going to get me through. I think this will do. Haven't had to apply any seam grip to it yet. Haven't tested it out yet, but this has got this adhered back to the tent body. So before I put any seam grip on it, I'm going to test it out. Let's see what kind of results I get. I had to do a lot of seam work on the tape. Had a lot of leaks in the tape, and I think it was a self-inflicted wound, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But to complete this illustration, what you do is you take the Velcro, simply wrap it around that pole. You have one for each pole, so you'll do this on this one and two others on the other end. Okay, so just a moment ago I mentioned a self-inflicted wound with the seam tape, and this is where it started. When I first got the tent, I set it up, staked it out in the middle of the day, and one of the things that I wanted to do, just out of habit, went to around the rainfly and just started cinching down the rainfly attachment points. And what happens in the sun with these things is the material will begin to draw tight because of the heat from the sun. And I happen to have it on the reverse tan side. I could see the glue heating up and beginning to melt, and the tape began to separate from the seams. So one lesson I learned, a valuable lesson I learned, is when I had this tent up, not to cinch down so tight on these attachment points. So get it to where it's somewhat snug, but by no means where it's going to draw tight enough to where it's going to rip away the tape from your seams. Here's the T-COP with the fly fully assembled and attached. Earlier, I mentioned about how to orientate your fly to the tent, and here's why. If you have the fly reversed, the opening of your door on this side starts here and goes back. The other side is the reverse. So when you unzip the fly here, in this opening, you can open your door. If you had the fly reversed, and when I say reversed, I mean simply rotated. The opening on the fly is on the opposite side of this pole. So you'd have to get in the opening and go to the other side of your tent to unzip it. So if you have it oriented the way that I have it now, right here at the opening, you can open your tent. Okay, now we're going to venture inside the tent. And here we are, inside of the Eureka TCOP one-man combat tent. I absolutely love this tent. Vapor permeable nylon for the tent body. This material here. Bathtub floor construction. 70D ripstop nylon with this polyurethane coating. Thick stuff, heavy duty. One of the items that I like to carry, picked up at Harbor Freight, and it's a shipping blanket. I use this on the floor of the T-COP to add a little extra insulation. There. Doesn't quite cover the entire length of the floor, but where I have the main part of my body, does a pretty good job. The next thing I like to add in is the Therm-A-Rest Sleeping Pad. Self-inflating. Has an R value of 4.8. Picked it up military surplus, $5. For my sleeping bag, I opted to bring the USMC 3-season sleeping bag. I actually have the 3-season bag, as well as the extreme cold weather bag that goes on the outside of this particular system. Now I've also got inside this pack an AquaQuest 9x7, or actually 10x7 heavy duty tarp, a poncho liner or whoopee blanket, and various other items that I would need to keep my evening comfortable. The axe is a Husqvarna 26-inch multi-purpose axe, and this is a ground sheet from the ICS 2000, the one-man combat tent previous to the TCOP. And I'm going to show you just a minute why I brought this along. The 3-season bag compresses down a lot tighter than what I have it here, but it's a handy little stuff sack here. And this particular bag catches a lot of flack online for not being a very good bag. I happen to like it. It is pretty much the equivalent of the green patrol bag on the earlier model MMSS, the military modular sleep system. And this bag comes with the seal line stuff sack. Very handy. Keeps the bag dry. Compresses down to almost nothing, smaller than a soccer ball. I like this bag. This bag, compared to the green patrol bag from the MMSS, has a zipper that runs down the center of your chest rather than the side of you. I like that better. It makes it easier, especially when hammock camping, for me to get in and out of my bag. And I have a visitor. It is February 3rd, 2019. A couple of days ago, we had a high of about 25 degrees. Today, it is 63, and I'm going to show you what just came to visit me. Hopefully I'll be able to get this on camera. And look at that guy there. Give it one good warm day, and here they are. Let me get rid of this guy and we'll be right back. Okay, so far I have the black shipping mat from Harbor Freight, the Therm-A-Rest self-inflating sleeping mat, and the USMC 3-season outer bag or inner bag. Now, another addition that I consider essential along with this tent is the Yuko candle lantern. There we are. This is a neat candle lantern. This is a neoprene sleeve that protects the candle lantern while it's in the backpack. Two reasons I love this. Obviously, one is for lighting. The biggest reason I like this candle lantern is because of the heat. Inside this tent, I've had a positive 10-degree temperature variation above outside ambient. I've had this outside in 28-degree weather, and inside this tent with this candle lantern, it was 38 degrees. There we are. I use the beeswax candle to go inside of it. It smells better and burns longer than the white candle that comes with it. And I'll hang it up and show you in just a moment how this works. Now, inside the TCOP here, you have connections. You have these little tabs where you can put a gear loft. There's one here, and here, and another here. And a lot of times I do that. We've got some homemade gear lofts that we put up here. But in the center, we have another tab that I use for the Yuko candle lantern. And this is how I keep the tent nice and warm during those cold nights. Now, the tent is not an extremely tall tent, so when you sit up, you will hit your head on the center. I'm 6 feet tall, and I can't sit up without my head touching the top of the tent. Obviously, I'm going to hit this. So when this is in the tent, obviously you have to be careful. You have to be mindful. You can't just, thrash about like a a bear chasing a rabbit. You do have to be careful. It takes a moment for the wick to burn down, but this is I can already feel the heat inside here. Once the wick burns down, the wax begins to melt and burn. The light and heat will stabilize. If you don't have one of these, you really do need to get one. These are just awesome pieces of kit. And here's the lantern hanging in the tent. So it gives you an idea of how much light it puts off. It doesn't put off a tremendous amount of light inside the tent. Most of the light is concentrated up at the top. But there is an absolute noticeable difference between the heat here in the bottom. Of course, I've just now lit it up, but the heat here in the bottom and the heat here around the top of the tent. And it really takes no time to heat up a small tent. Great piece of gear. It keeps me from having to sleep with my water. It won't freeze at night. Electronics tend to fare inside the tent better than outside, because the electronics do not like the cold. The batteries don't like the cold. So this is just a neat option for me inside this tent.
And now we're going to show you how two people can comfortably fit in this.
The floor area on this thing is 28 square feet. It is a double-walled tent. The rainfly makes it a double wall. At its height in the center is 32.5 inches. Okay, now I'm going to get in and show you just how two people can fit in this thing. To give you an idea of our size, I'm 6 feet tall, 205 pounds, and I'm 45. Gabriel is 13. He's close to 6'1", 220. So we're not small individuals by any means, but we have found out you can do this. And here we are, two grown size individuals inside of this one-man tent. Now, the trick to this tent is not actually, you don't have to spoon. You can lay foot to head, and that makes it a lot easier and a lot more comfortable for two people to get inside this tent.
Now that's a good trick with any tent. Like the ECWT, you can easily add people by sitting like this.
That's right.
Or laying down like this with your feet at the head of one person, and then their feet at your head.
Now, I feel like Gabriel could probably slide his head or body down towards my feet a little more.
Yep.
But we still got plenty of room. And we've got a little bit of space here. What's that, 4.5 inches?
About 4.
Now, I am almost next to the door. So, but I'm not forcing this out any. Now, another positive to having the Yuko in the tent. With one person, you're putting out a lot of moisture back in the air. This candle keeps the humidity down, so you're not having a buildup of condensation inside the tent. Now, this vapor permeable material actually allows the moisture out when you're breathing, not back in. But this candle keeps enough of the humidity level down so that it doesn't build up so much on the outside or the inside of the fly. You have a nice dry spot on the top of the fly, inside obviously, and around the outsides is where the condensation will build up and roll down out of the way.
And another good trick, if you don't have a Yuko, is to open up these mesh, open up the material door, and open up the mesh just a little ways, however much you think you'll need, to let some condensation out on both sides.
Let fresh air in.
And let fresh air in.
Which brings me to another a point about this tent. This is a 4-season tent. You have the 40D nylon no-seam mesh on the outside, and this is on both doors, which is an improvement over the ICS 2000. The ICS 2000 has a large door with a rainfly type material, blackout coating, and mesh at the top here. And there's no way to cover that mesh up unless you add more material yourself as an add-on.
And that's letting heat out.
And that's also letting heat out.
Yeah.
But with this tent body, you can completely close yourself off from the elements. Ah, there you go.
You gotta be careful.
Hitting the candle. You have to be careful with that. Now, I've not had a problem with any wax dripping out of this until I hit it.
Yep.
You leave it and let it burn like it's supposed to and not hit it. You're not going to have any wax interfere with the movement of the candle. Okay, here's the tent with the fly reverse to desert tan. As you can see out here in the area that we're in, probably stick out like a sore thumb. Kind of like the Army's ACU digital. Okay, to reverse the fly, you don't have to take the pole out. You can if you'd like, but you can just simply roll it over. You have to kind of work the pole a little bit in the sleeve, but it's easy to do. You have to roll the material back over the sleeve for the pole. And there we go. This is the ground sheet from Gabriel's ICS 2000. This served two purposes. Main purpose, to protect the floor of the tent body from anything that might protrude through and poke a hole in your floor. A purpose for this is that with the ICS 2000 you could take the tent body out and create a hooch with just a ground fly or ground sheet and the rain fly. And we're going to try that with this. Stand by. The ICS 2000 ground sheet can be used with the TCOP setup to create a hooch, very similar to what you do with the ICS 2000. This is a really neat option in case you want to go a little more lightweight. No tent body, but have rain protection. I don't have an extra one of these ground cloths. Probably going to make one, and most likely going to make one that will extend all the way out to the outer pole there. But this is a pretty neat little option here. Lots of headspace, lots of room. You can definitely get two people in here easy. You can probably fit 3 or more. This is an extra option.
Alright, so we've been talking about the ICS 2000. And we've been talking about it so much during the video that we've decided to go home and actually grab it. One main difference that you can already see, and this is the door that faces the inside of the rain fly. It doesn't have a mesh door sewn on. So all you have is this tent material as a door, no mesh. Now the forward-facing door has a waterproof material, is blackout, and has a mesh door. So that's one big improvement that the TCOP has over the ICS 2000.
Because there's two large mesh doors on each side of the TCOP tent body. As you can see, the body footprint is virtually identical. They're both the same width, both the same length, both the same height. Both use same tent poles. But you can notice on top of the ICS 2000 the mesh screens here where the TCOP does not have it.
And that's one thing that makes the TCOP a
four-season tent.
Yeah.
You can completely close yourself off from the elements, obviously when it's under the rainfly, by closing both material doors.
With the ICS 2000, there's no way to close these mesh doors off, or these mesh
Windows, if you would.
No way to close these mesh windows off. That actually comes with the tent. So you'd have to make some kind of attachable flaps or something to cover these vents up. But as you see on the front, you do have a mesh door on the front, just not on the back side. And again, this is a waterproof door, where the TCOP, the material on the doors of that, the actual tent body material, is not waterproof. This is the material inner door with the mesh outer door up.
Okay. So on this one you can see there's a big door. Both tents have big doors. Easy access in and out. And you can see on the back side of the ICS 2000 the mesh at the top and the roof. And again, the TCOP does not have that. But it does have mesh doors on both sides. And here's the rainfly with both vestibule doors open. And underneath this one I have the Philby backpack set beneath it. And you can see inside the tent here, with the inner doors down and both mesh doors up, on a good breezy day, stay nice and cool in there.
Another major difference between these two tents, the ICS 2000 has a rainfly with a vestibule in the back with an awning in the front, while the TCOP has a vestibule in the back and the front with no awning.
These tents are below waist level, so they're easily concealable.
Out here on the back of the rainfly houses a in this vestibule, houses an Alice pack extremely easily. This is also where you do your cooking with a small ultralight camping stove, something of that nature, right here under this inside of this vestibule.
Here's the rainfly staked out in the normal condition configuration. We have one guy here, one guy here, and then on the other side, each of the tie-out loops, we have one here and then one on the other side. And the guy-out loops are here. And these are the pole attachments. This configuration is more for higher winds. Forms kind of a star shape once you have it all guyed out. Hopefully you can see the paracord here. The big issue with this particular configuration is when you're trying to get in and out of your tent. As you can see, getting in here, you're going to be hitting the skyline. And I have a solution for that. The solution that I normally use for this particular problem is I have a toggle here with actually two pieces of paracord and with a bowline knot on one end and a bowline on the other, and just run the toggle between the two, kind of lock it out. That way I can unhitch, get in, hitch it back, zip, and be done.
Alright, I've got my ICS 2000 packed up, all ready to go, and as you can see, it's the exact same dimensions as the TCOP when it's all packed up.
Alright, one of the final components to this tent is the repair kit. It didn't come, this tent, when I purchased it, did not come with a stake bag, nor did it come with stakes. What I use are the DAC tent stakes from the Diamond brand 2-man combat tent. The stakes that came with Gabriel's tent, the ICS 2000, are the old Easton aluminum stakes. And these have these caps. And the problem with these is when you drive them into the ground, sometimes they'll get stuck, pull the stake out, they'll tend to pop off. So one of the things that we did to remedy that is we put the cap back together on the stake itself and drilled a hole through it, seated it back together with epoxy, and we used a stem from an aluminum rivet to go back inside that hole, ground it off, and now that cap is held together to the stake with a pin, aluminum pin. There we go. So, contents inside this kit are pretty basic. They're specific to this. Some of these are specific to this tent. We've got swatches here of material. We've got the bag material, tent material, rainfly material, and the no-seam mesh. Comes with things like the bungee cord that goes, or shock cord that goes inside the poles. I had to replace the seam grip that came with this kit because the seam grip, there was a hole in that container and it ended up curing inside the container, so replace that. Then we'll have different odds and ends like seam grip applicators, pole repair, and inside the pole repair I have the needle that goes along with the thread and thimble. And this way I keep that inside of that aluminum sleeve so I don't lose it. That way it doesn't poke a hole in the bag and work its way out and get lost. There are also several other things in here, small things. You have replacement buckles, and ribbons, things like that. So that covers it for the repair kit. I like to keep all these things all in one spot. I put the stakes inside this bag. Just easy to keep all in one spot. That way I know where everything is. So this goes back inside the TCOP bag, carry bag. And I would like to mention that the bag itself, when not in use, if you stuff clothes in it, or your jacket, or some items that you're not using, sometimes even things like pine straw, this makes for a great pillow. I don't always pack this and take it home the same way I bring it out. Weather dependent. Sometimes I'll take the rain fly and wrap it around my sleeping bag and put it back in the Philby backpack. Sometimes I'll roll it back up just like this. Sometimes I can take the rain fly and put it over the Philby backpack to protect that from rain. That backpack itself is water resistant, but sometimes the rain will get through. But a lot of times, just roll it back up the way you took it out. You make the width of it, the length of the poles. Roll it up nice and easy. And back in the stuff sack it goes. And there we go. That's poles, tent, rain fly, and repair kit. All back in a
Alright, so that was the United States Marine Corps TCOP by Eureka. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun making it. This is by far one of my favorite tents. Again, I had the ICS 2000, but all the improvements that come with the TCOP, I really enjoy, and I'm looking into getting one. But again, I thank you for watching this video. I thank you for liking and subscribing. Go check out our website, robertsbushcraft.com. And have a great day, and God bless.